we needed to spice things up a little bit. So here we are making things spicy, and we asked you for your questions, either about us or the show or hockey, kind of whatever you wanted to ask. So we got quite a few responses, and we're going to go through our not our favorite ones, but the ones that I think is going to garner the best response out of Marjorie and Alessia.
The Wraparound with Grace, Alessia, and Marjorie.
First off, from Milton the Ice, we have who is the best team in the NHL?
Well, melting the ice, that's you're gonna get a very, very biased answer from me. Very biased. Um, I have to say the Leafs. Okay, there are other awesome teams right now in the league, and there are some divisions that are super tight, and I can't deny there's awesome teams. But at the current moment, the way the Leafs have been playing, and not only because they've been winning games and they've been producing goals, it's just their dynamic. You can't question their dynamic right now. Not only are the forwards, you know, so in tune with each other that they can find each other from, distances away, and they don't even have to look to pass to the other player. They just know they'll be there. It's just something it's very rare to find on teams, and usually the best teams are filled with players that are like that. And so you're getting a very biased answer from me, but I have to say the Leafs.
It kind of pains me to say this because I am a Habs fan, but as of right now, the depth that the Leafs have, they are and they should be a team expected to go very far this season. And that's putting a lot of pressure on the team.
Yes.
But I believe they are one of the better teams right now in the league. They're also in first, so there's that. So
You look so distraught saying that.
Alessia at the beginning,
was
she was
very-
like, she
that
was
was
like,
very-
ugh.
I would like
Well-
to say thank you, but everybody mark this down in their calendars.
as much as I would love to say the Canadians, they're not. And they showed that on Saturday. But yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on this Leafs team. I think they have an amazing offensive core.
Without a doubt.
Austin Matthews has been great.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
I mean, there's pressure on this team even when they've been bad or when they've been doing okay. So imagine them now that they're actually producing and they're being the team that everybody expects them to be. Massive amount of pressure. It's insane. But thanks for the question.
So next up, oh, by the way, the Leafs, 100%. Next up is a question from our good friend Bree, and she wants you to
Bree.
tell the story
Hi,
of your
Bree.
first time watching hockey. So it could be on TV or at a game in person.
Jeez.
Like your first memorable one. If your parents brought you to the game as a toddler, like you don't have to talk about that. But
I mean, the girls know, and I think I've spoken about this many times on the show. I'm a very recent hockey fan, and when I mean recent, probably within the last 5 years, which is fairly recent compared to Grace and Alessia, who've been hockey fans for pretty much their whole lives. And so I think my first really big memory of watching hockey and really being into it was, it's going to sound a super cheesy answer, but it's the night Austin Matthews debuted and he scored those 4 goals, because that was the first season where I committed myself and said, I'm going to watch a hockey season and see how it goes. And that was the first game of the season. And I think I just remember that night and like thinking, this is insane.
he did that for you, Marjorie. Thanks. That was for you.
He did. I know he did.
I mean, for me, I was very fortunate enough as a young kid to be able to go to a lot of hockey games with my dad. So I guess there isn't one I could say, like, is the most memorable. But I'd say the moment or point in time where I was like, this is a team I love. And it's kind of like it stuck with me for such a long time was the Montreal Canadiens 2010 playoff run. Just them being an 8th seed, getting in by the skin of their teeth. and beating teams like the Washington Capitals, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then they went on to face the Philadelphia Flyers in the conference finals, which I was very fortunate enough to actually go to at the Bell Center to watch a game. And I just remember when they beat Pittsburgh just crying, like just absolutely like bawling. And my mom was like, "Why are you crying?" Because, me and my dad, we really intense watching these games. So she's like, "Well, why are you crying?" I'm like, "Mom, they weren't even supposed to beat the Penguins. They weren't even supposed to beat the Washington Capitals." So that's a moment that I'll never forget, that I'll cherish for a long time.
I've been thinking while you two are talking. And by the way, I love both of your stories because Alessia A almost cried. And then Marjorie, you're just so cute that I can't even. Um, so I have been a hockey fan basically my whole life, but not an NHL fan.
Mhm.
In like the conventional way, where I didn't start getting into the NHL until high school, like probably grade 10. I used to watch juniors all the time because I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, so OHL is a big thing here. And when I was younger, what you would do is my dad and I, it would be a big thing to go to a Greyhound game at night. So we would be like hyped up for it like all week. And then I would like get dressed up and my mom would make sure that I looked my cutest. And then we'd go to this Greyhound game and you'd get treats from the canteen and you get to watch this hockey game. And I think that those are definitely some of my first hockey memories, is getting to do that and just like the hype that surrounded it in the Sioux. So I think
Those are
that
those
would
are sweet moments.
definitely be
Yeah.
my first for me.
Yeah.
And then
Thanks.
Marjorie's like, Austin Matthews.
I mean, it's also no surprise that everybody knows how much I adore Austin Matthews as a player.
Yes.
But thanks, Brie, for that question. You're the best.
So next up is from Puck Heroes Art. And it is, who is your all-time favorite player?
Do I have to say it again? I mean, okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I haven't been a hockey fan for the longest time. So I can't be like, I've been watching, this legendary player like Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, you know, Alex Ovechkin. I can't say them because, as much as I admire them as hockey players, they're not my favorite because I haven't been with them through the whole journey. With Austin Matthews, it's a different player. He's the first player who I really followed from the draft up until now, including when they were talking about him when he was in Switzerland. So I have to say Austin Matthews. Come on, how could I not?
For me, it's a player that I grew up watching, and just because he was a huge inspiration, also the captain that I grew up watching, and that's Zaku Koivu. He was one of my favorite players growing up, and I remember meeting him and just being in awe. So, yeah, I'd have to say him.
That's a good player. That's a good choice. Wait, are you gonna say who we know you're gonna say, or are you gonna switch it
No,
up?
actually.
Okay.
I was gonna lead it off with that. Everybody knows that I absolutely love Marc-Andre Fleury. He's definitely one of my favorite players right now, and maybe once he retires, of all time. But I actually have to go with a different goalie, and I have to go with Marty Brodeur. He
Mm-hmm.
is actually one of
Good
my
one.
favorite players of all time. Whenever you got to watch a game, it was just so fun, and the stuff that he pulled off, like the saves and everything. Um, Definitely some of my most memorable, like favorite hockey moments, I think, from watching NHL hockey when I was younger, as much as I watched it. But moving on, we're gonna flip the switch a little bit. We aren't being asked about hockey in this question. This is from
Oh,
a friend of the show. Her name is Diana. She wants to know, what is our thoughts on American football?
oh, Diana.
She specifies as a sport because I feel like she wants us to avoid like the politics of it. So
Oh, I mean,
as a sport.
what do we think of football as a sport? I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a football fan. I do not watch American football. I watch football, as you guys know, as soccer. I do watch European soccer and international soccer. But American football, I am not friends with. It's a it's a strange sport for me because like baseball, I'm not an avid baseball fan, but I can sit down and watch a baseball game. And with football, I just can't. I don't know why. it's very difficult. I'm trying because we are sport media students and I want to expand my horizons. But I don't know. I mean, I can't bash the sport. It's a sport. They have amazing athletes within the game, but yeah, I don't think too much of it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing as you. Like, I don't watch football enough to have like a really strong opinion. I mean, I watch the Super Bowl, I'll watch the odd game, but like Marjorie said, I'm not, and like, I don't think we're both avid football fans.
For me, surprisingly, the NFL isn't a big part of my life, and I'm not a football fan. Like, you can't ask me what my favorite NFL team is because I don't have one. Um, but I've worked for a football team before. I did stats for a football team, and I did like it. So doing stats for it is fun. Watching it as a fan, I can't quite get into. But also, football here in Sault Ste. Marie is a massive part of high school culture. So all throughout my 4 years of high school, during the fall, I was at football games for my high school. Mind you, most of them were parties, but it's still
I was
it's
gonna
still
say.
something I enjoy, and it is something that kind of brings back that feeling of nostalgia. But I would like to give a shout out to Alessia's mom because she told us
Yes,
that we rock, and it made me really happy.
Thanks,
you
Mom.
rock. We love you.
But that is it for our first little question and answer segment. So if you want to see more of these, let us know. Tweet us, DM us, email us. I bring up email a lot because I like emails. And hopefully we can do some more of these in the future. So thank you for listening.